Hello, my name is Gabriel, and today I'm going to show you the making of Game of Thrones Dagger. The first step is to look for images to know about what you are going to make. Once you have seen enough, you can continue and start the development process. In this case, we can actually look up for the size of the dagger on a web page, so that helps. It is 19.5 inches, or 49.5 centimeters. Because of the required precision, I will be working with centimeters. I will start drawing over this side image of the dagger to make a vector version of it. Now, I will resize my vector model to make that 49.5 centimeters line into a 495 pixel one, so it will be easier to see the actual size of each line. The first layer is easy. We will take the edge of the vector version to have the blueprint of that first layer. Now we are going to make the rest of the blueprints. For the second layer's blueprint, we will use the first layer as a model and as a guide to calculate how separated each lane will be from the first layer. Now we are thinking on the third dimension. How wide is the dagger? Or better yet, how wide is each part of the dagger? The blade will be different from the handle, and the handle has different volumes. So let's do it part by part. About the blade, as we know, blades are thin, and with the first layer it is already thick enough. So for now, we will leave it as it is, and maybe we will add details later. So the handle. This is the part that needs subtle details the most. To get a better idea of how wide the dagger is, try looking for various images from different angles. Using that reference, we calculate how much smaller the second layer and all next layers will be. The third layer is for the rest of the golden color part, but as you can see on this image, this part is thinner than this other part. It is sort of a cone shape, that's why we will make this third layer a little bit different. We will attach it after we have added some more volume in the dagger once the second layer is attached. For now, we will draw this third layer as if it's normal shape, not a cone. We will make it a little bit larger, so that when we are attaching it over the cone-shaped handle, it will cover all of it. We will modify it later, once we have the pieces all together. We will now add the extra pieces that will be over this layer. We will make two sets of blueprints, one for the cutouts and one for the cardboard. The first set will be just for those pieces or layers that we will use more than once, which is all of it except for the first layer. On the second set, we will have all the pieces that we are going to use for our dagger, which means the first layer and two of each other piece. After that, we are done with the digital drawing. Now we'll start drawing it on hard paper to make our cutouts. I decided to use a thick paper so it will stay still when I use it to draw the pieces on cardboard. The reason why I'm using cutouts is to have the same exact draw for those pieces I'm going to use more than once. There are different techniques to use when you are drawing a project from the computer. I will use one that I like and I have fun copy drawing that way. For this technique, I will use those key points as a direction to draw all the lines and curves we need. We start measuring the distance from the corner to a point, measuring width and height. Using that, we mark the first dot, and repeat this for the next one, but now using the previous dot instead of a corner. Measure width and height, now mark the dot, and draw a very light straight line. Then start copying from the computer the line or curve there is between those two dots. We will repeat that for everything we need to draw. Yeah, I don't know either why I like it, but I do. So, once we have finished making our cutouts on thick paper, we will use those cutouts to draw the pieces on cardboard. Using the cutouts we have made, we will draw all layers and pieces on cardboard. Once finished the drawing, we are going to cut the layers and the pieces. I will use a box cutter for the mostly straight lines, and for the curves, I will use a needle to track them and cut them off with the box cutter as well. Using the point-to-point technique and the second layer as a reference, I copied and drew the first layer. Once finished, I cut it the same way as I have cut the rest. Once I have all my layers and pieces, I will glue them all together. For the third layer, as we expected, we need to add extra volume to make the cone shape. Using that third layer, I've made a sub-layer. We could call it the layer 2.5. I made one for each side and cut them as we did before. Now I will glue them as well as the third layer on both sides, and now we have the sort of cone shape we intended. It's looking good. Now we need to check our dagger to see if there is something extra we need. It could be that it has some areas that need to be rounded or sharpened, as well as extra pieces that need to be added. I did sharpen the blade, and now we need to add some details to the handle. We cut some thin cardboard rectangles, and now we will attach them to the handle. We will do little paper cylinders to add that texture or shape for the same handle area. We will do that for each side. Before we continue and attach the jewel, I want to add a paper layer, just to separate the handle for the jewel. In that way, we can show the jewel as something different than the rest of the handle. We will also do that for each side. Now, playing a little bit with it, I noticed two things. It is way too light. The daggers are not exactly heavy, but since we're using cardboard, it is natural for it to be light. Then, we need to add some weight. The second thing I noticed is that it could easily break in the middle, since we have basically 7 layers wide on the handles and just one for the blade. To fix these problems, we will add some steel wire. To fix the second problem, and to help a little bit the first one, we will insert 2 of those wires in the middle for each side. We will add paper layers so it won't be visible once the dagger is finished. To make it heavier, we will add pieces of wire underneath where the jewel will be attached. To make the kind of spherical shape of the jewel, I decided to add a little extra piece and cut the upper area of the original one. I will glue them together and add them to the dagger, covering the wire underneath it. Now the dagger has more weight and feels more real. So, using the holes in the cardboard, we're going to add more wire. Since the blade was already closed when I sharpened it, we don't have to glue the bottom of it. But we need to close the bottom of the handle with glue. To measure how long the wire needs to be, I put it in to see how long it has to be, then I cut it and insert it again, but now with a drop of glue, so it will stick in there. This step took long, but it was worth it, because I did it exactly as heavy as I wanted. At the end, using glue I closed the top area as I did with the bottom. Now we will make 6 little paper balls, and we will attach them to the dagger for the black jewels. We need 1 big squash paper ball for the lower red jewel and a paper cylinder to surround that lower jewel. And we're done with the extras and details! Now it's time to cover everything with paper using glue to attach it. It is similar to paper mache, but with less glue. For the blade, I decided to add a couple extra layers of paper, because I want to make it harder and stronger than the handle. And as you can see, or can't see, the middle steel wires aren't visible anymore. That is success! For the handle, since it has various textures in different areas, we will separately paper glue it, so the golden part is independent for the edge of the red jewel and the soon-to-be brown section as well. To make it more smoothly for those areas that add the same piece but have different layers in our dagger, we will add extra paper details to make it look and appear more realistic. It is looking good, but I think it needs more volume in the middle. Therefore, we will add those foiled paper triangles to add more volume to it, then we will cover it and smooth it. It's all about the details. We have been adding details, and that's the secret to make it awesome. This last detail, before the paint, is something I wanted to try for this project. The texture of the handle, not the jewels or the golden part, but the actual area that has more contact with the hand when you grab it. It needs more texture than the rest of the dagger. It has to be more wrinkled. That's why I decided to use sand. Using fine sand and following the instructions to make the DIY or do-it-yourself play sand, I made my brown sand from the handle. You can see the link for that tutorial video on the description below. I added glue to that sand, mixed it and attached it to the handle area. You can also add glue to the handle and then attach the play sand to it. Once you have finished attaching the sand, you will add a thin layer of glue so it won't be too wrinkled. You can add more thin layers until it's perfect. I added 2 thin layers in total. Now last but not least, the paint. I used gold, azure red deep, ivory black, and silver, and 3 brushes of different thickness for details and the white areas. I colored each part, then added glue to the red jewel once the paint was dry to add some shine. And it's done! We have made our own Game of Thrones Dagger. I'm really happy with the result. It doesn't just look good, but it feels good. The balance is adequate, and it's not as heavy as a real dagger, but it feels great to carry. Even Drogo wants to give it a try. I will continue making this kind of project. If you have any ideas that you would like to see how I do it, please comment them here. For the next video, I was thinking of making a sword with the specific challenge of making it strong enough so you can use it without having to be cautious at the moment of swinging it. So, if you have any ideas of what sword, or if you have any original designs that you would like me to make in real life, please share it in the comment section. That's all for now. I hope you like it. Please subscribe and share it with the people you love, or people you know. Oh god, I hope I didn't make it awkward. Anyway, until next time.